2017 elections, but things did not turn out as she had wished. Did President Uhuru Kenyatta, ODM leader Raila Odinga, play a role in ensuring that Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya becomes the man at the helm of the Council of Governors? We shall be having this discussion when it comes to the political intrigues that played out yesterday during the Council of Governors election. Of course, we're going to be having a governance expert in our studio and much more, including the parking fees that has been reduced by Nairobi County government. Will it reduce the number of vehicles entering the CBD, or will it increase, coming at a time also when the country has also seen the decrease in the price of fuel in our country as of last midnight? My name is Brenda Zederadito. Welcome to KTN News Center. Always a pleasure having you tuned in, but let me give you some of the highlights that we have for you this morning. We begin with the National Task Force, Sugar Task Force, which is set to hold the stakeholders meeting today in Kisumu County. Now, the Kenya flight the Kenya flight Fight Inequality Alliance and Oxford to brief the media on how social movements are coming together to win the fight against extreme inequality. And finally, let's have a look at what is making the headlines in Zimbabwe, where Zimbabweans take to the streets to protest a 150% fuel hike imposed by President Mnangagwa's administration. Right, let's begin with our top story matters. Corruption in the country. Fighting corruption, and retired General Twalib Abdallah has been sworn in as the Chief Executive Officer of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Mbarak took over the mantle from Halake Wako in a ceremony presided over by Chief Justice David Maraga at the Supreme Court. In his maiden speech as CEO, Mbarak promised to make corruption a high-risk venture in the country. KTN's News Akisa Wandera with the details.
Calm, composed, collected. The newest face in the fight against graft. The retired general who beat 14 other nominees to bag the position of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission CEO.
I, Twalib Abdallah Mbarak, having been appointed the Chief Executive Secretary to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, do swear that I will at all times obey, respect and uphold the Constitution of Kenya and all other laws of the Republic, that I will faithfully and fully, impartially and to the best of my knowledge and ability discharge the trust, perform the functions and exercise the powers devolving upon me by virtue of this appointment without fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will or prejudice. So help me God.
Coming into office at a time when the war on graft is largely perceived to be vibrant, retired General Twalib Abdallah Mbarak says he is up to task, promising no peace for criminals during his tenure.
Corrupt persons thrive on volatility. They exploit it for personal gain, and I'm committed to make corruption a high-risk venture in this country. Kenya will be a very inhospitable place for people who are corrupt.
And he comes ready, armed with a blueprint of what he says his administration will majorly focus on. This includes improvement in capacity of the asset recovery function of the Commission and review of processes in a bid to unblock all procedural bottlenecks that hinder efficiency at the Commission.
I intend to effectively use the resources available to tackle impactful investigation. I will conduct comprehensive audit of the cases with a view of prioritizing investigation based on factors such as value of subject matter, personalities involved, and public interest.
Present at the swearing-in ceremony was Chief Justice David Maraga, Director of Public Prosecutions Nordin Haji, DCI boss George Kinoti, Attorney General Paul Kihara, and EACC Chairman Archbishop Eliud Wabukala. In his address, Attorney General Paul Kihara took a jab at the judiciary over how slow-paced the wheels of justice are in some of the corruption cases currently before the courts.
So Chief, naomba tafadhali tutaendelea na hii kazi, lakini pande ya judiciary pia mtusaidie na msaidie Kenyans kuhakikisha kamili hii makesi zinaendelea haraka ziishe, but not go on forever, as I have just indicated.
In response, Chief Justice David Maraga threw the ball back to the investigative agencies, reiterating the need for them to file watertight cases.
You have to carry out thorough investigations and bring cases to court when you yourself are confident of getting a conviction. If for one reason you think it's a case which you are not going to win, if you bring it, you know the result.
Twalib Abdallah brings to the Commission military and intelligence experience that many hope will invigorate the war on graft that continues to be spearheaded by the duo of Nurdin Haji at the office of the DPP and George Kinoti at the DCI. Akisa Wandera, KTN News.
Now, top suspect in one of Kenya's worst terror attacks in history, the Westgate Mall attack of September 2013, is a free man. Adan Dek, who faced charges of being a member of Al-Shabaab and an accomplice in the massacre of more than 70 people, was freed by Nairobi Chief Magistrate Francis Andani. 3 other accused persons were, however, put on their defense, even as the case awaits resumption in a week's time. KTN's Francis Ontomwa reports.
The 4 men Kenya's security agencies paraded as top masterminds of the mall attack that claimed over 70 people in September 2013. 4 masked men believed to be members of the Al-Shabaab terror group descended on the shopping mall, killing dozens. But the courts put 3 of them on their defense, while one man, Adan Dek, was acquitted.
I'm satisfied that the prosecution has made out a prima facie case to warrant the accused persons to be called upon to offer defenses as follows.
Chief Magistrate Francis Andai is not convinced that the evidence put before him by the prosecution warrants holding Adan Dek anymore. Ahmed Abdi, Liban Omar and Hussein Mustafa, the other suspects in the case, however, will remain in custody. The trio will have to fight it out and prove that they did not aid the deadly mass shooting. 5 years since the happening, and the Westgate effect continues to exert a toll on Kenyans' daily interactions and experiences. At the heat of the moment, an angry President Uhuru Kenyatta promised to set up a commission of inquiry that to date has not materialized. Not even a report by a joint committee of the National Assembly helped give answers to the security puzzle. The trial of the 4 started in January 2014. During the attack, some 200 people were injured when the mass shooting occurred as Kenya's elite forces responded to neutralize the attackers during the 4-day siege at the shopping mall. The subsequent release of Adan Dek for another time is likely to put the prosecution on a tough path in Kenya's quest to fight terror.
We are not going to allow any of you to use the judiciary as your scapegoat. That one we will not. That one we will not. If you bring a hopeless case, we will say in our judgment why we are dismissing it. And the public will know where to place the blame.
The case will be mentioned on January 21st. Francis Ontomwa, KTN News, Nairobi.
Now, many of the controversy surrounding the education of a Rastafarian girl who was denied admission at a Kibera school has found its way to the corridors of justice. The girl's family, alongside members of the Rastafarian Society of Kenya, have sought the intervention of the court. In a petition, the girl's father, John Wambua Mwendwa, alias Prophet, wants the court to compel the administration of Olympic High School in Kibera to allow his daughter to return to school. Shadrach Miti has the very latest.
The seemingly bumpy and rocky road to secondary education for the 15-year-old Makeda Ndinda Wambua, a member of the Rastafarian Society of Kenya and an ardent follower and believer in the Rastafarian religion, appears to be facing even more turbulence.
We start looking at the light which Marcos Garvey told us.
At the family's residence in Kibera, family members were joined by other Rastafarians from the group's society, perhaps with the intention of taking the case further. Central to their cry is the need to have equality and justice for all, regardless of their religion and affiliations. Third Way Alliance Party leader, Ekura Okot, says it's discriminatory for the school administration not to admit any child based on their belief.
Article 32 is so clear about the right to conscience, the right of conscience, the right of religion, the right of belief, freedom of association, freedom of expression. And if you look at the idea of dreadlocks, this is a natural air. Of a person. It's like asking somebody, chop off your hand or chop off your leg so that you can enjoy a ride.
We must remove the attention from the dreadlocks to the faith of the Rastafari. Because it's not even about, and I don't wear dreadlocks, and I wear Rastafari crown. Because when you say dreadlocks, it brings fear. It's a dread. This is not a dread thing, because we are not in time of dread. This is a crown.
Those pushing for the unconditional admission of the girl argue that the reasons being advanced to justify the decision completely falls short of all the necessary legal provisions. At Olympic High School in Kibra, school principal Mr. Washinga maintained school rules cannot be compromised and are there to be observed.
Is she the one who came for the admission letter? No, I'm asking also you. She's not the one who...
No, you just answer me because that's the question.
I can also ask you a question.
Okay, me, I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Because, even those who are waiting outside here, a number of them are parents.
So you're saying...
So we just check there.
So
have they made the...
She had not entered the classroom?
No, she did. She was put from a class.
So that means when she was removed from the class, there already existing school rules.
Yes.
Once we give a letter for admission, see, that means the student has been admitted.
That's true. Okay.
Yes.
That's okay. So you are saying...
But at that time, we may not have seen the student because once the parent comes with the qualifications, we just admit.
But when pressed further, the school head called upon the family and members of the Rastafarian Society of Kenya and followers of the Rastafarian religion to seek further answers from Sub-County Director of Education.
There are some decisions I cannot be able to make alone. Yes. But so the Sub-County Director of Education is in the best position now. Because once I finish whatever I'm doing, I hand over.
Let me ask, who runs the institution?
On day-to-day basis.
Yes.
It's me.
Exactly.
But there are some guidelines.
This is something to do with faith. And this word, I don't see it coming out boldly, that the faith and the way of Rastafari liberty is being affected.
16th tukija kotini, hatukuji mention tunakuja kusikizwa.
Later, the group moved to Milimani Law Courts where, under certificate of urgency, John Mwendo Elias Prophet demanded that the Board of Governors of Olympic High School be ordered to allow his daughter, Makeda Ndunda, to resume her studies unconditionally. Other respondents in the case are the Minister of Education and the Attorney General. In the suit, Mwendwa says that his wife and 5 children are members of the Rastafarian Society of Kenya, besides being ardent followers of the Rastafarian religion, and that his daughter's dreadlocks are not a fashion statement, but a clear distinction between them and non-Rastas. The case was placed before High Court Judge Justice Pauline Nyamweya. Shadrack Miti, KTN News.
All right, to continue keeping tabs with that story, we'll give you the latest update as and when we get it. Now, to matters politics, specifically the election of Council of Governors that was held yesterday. We saw Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya being elected as the chair and Muranga Governor Mwangi wa Iria as his deputy. This is a discussion that we are going to have in just a few minutes with Kevin Osido, who is a governance expert and he serves as the executive director at the County Governance Watch. But before we talk to him, let's look at what happened yesterday during the election where Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya Ambetsa is the new chairman of the Council of Governors. Now, the ODM deputy party leader floored 4 other governors to be elected at the helm of the council for a term of 1 year. Muranga Governor Mwangi wa Iria was elected as the deputy chairman of the council. But as KTN's political affairs reporter Chris Tairu tells us, the truce between President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition chief Raila Odinga seems to have played a major role in once again denying Kwale Governor Salim Vuria the opportunity to lead the council as he had been promised.
After postponing the elections of the council twice due to political friction between Jubilee and NASA-affiliated governors that threatened to split the council, finally the 47 governors went to the ballot. Despite facing opposition from 4 other governors, initially Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya was elected as the council chairman for a term of 1 year.
In spite of the glaring challenges, we have remained undoubted. We've been fearless in questioning the national government and other stakeholders in circumstances where consciously or unconsciously county governments have been undermined.
The council will purposely endeavor to drive the referendum discussion by engaging stakeholders.
If there's going to be a discussion about constitutional change, then we must look at how we can devolve more funds to the counties and strengthen institutions that defend devolution.
Those who are salivating for the seat include the former Deputy COG Chair, Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru, the former Chairman of the Council and Turkana Governor Josephat Nanok, Wasingishu Governor Jackson Mandago, and his Kisumu counterpart, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o.
The last time we were hosted in Kakamega by Governor Oparanya, and now he's the chair of the Council of Governors. I will be hosting this year in Kirinyaga County, the Devolution Conference, and who knows, maybe next year I will be the chair of the council.
However, Kwale Governor Salim Vuria appears to be the biggest loser in the election, given that at the height of political differences between Jubilee and NASA in 2017, he had been promised the position, having ditched ODM party, joined the Jubilee party, and re-elected governor in an area perceived as an opposition stronghold zone.
We are more than happy as a Senate that we have not received any impeachment of any governor in the last 1 year. Because in the last term where we were, there was a lot of celebration that in the Senate we were eager to fashion or support the process of impeaching any governor.
Sources within the council intimated to KTN News that both President Kenyatta and opposition chief Raila Odinga played a major role in determining who is at the helm of the council. Oparanya, a second-term governor, also doubles up as the ODM deputy party leader.
We are very, very pleased as the new team comes in that we now have a policy, a draft policy ready on regional economic blocks. And I think the new leadership is coming in at a very, very critical time when we have the country divided into about 6 blocks.
It is believed that Oparanya used his position as the founding chairman of the Lake Region Economic Bloc, which consists of the 14 counties in Western Kenya, to lobby for the chairmanship position. Oparanya has already announced his presidential ambitions come 2022. Oranga Governor Mwangi wa Iria was elected as the deputy chair of the council. Other governors who have served in that position include former governors Isaac Ruto, Peter Munya, and Turkana Governor Josephat Nanok. Chris Dairu, KTN News.
Now let's talk to governance expert that